War of the Visions Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is out again. Obviously, by now, if you've started to pick up the game, you've either done the reroll system or you're going through that process. If you're still going through it, I have a video for that as well. I'll link it in the description, the reroll tier list video, what units you should be aiming for. This video is going to be the vision cards that you should be aiming for, how they're used and what they're going to be doing for you, and how to effectively get the correct cards into your party. This is going to be both MR and UR cards are in here. So let's get in here right now. Thank you guys once again for the content being able to be provided to you guys by coming and watching the content. Thoroughly enjoy it, being able to do this. So thank you guys once again for the support. Likes and comments as always appreciated. And let's start off with a very, very strong card you guys have probably heard of. This is the Oath of Love. The Oath of Love, very powerful card, and we'll briefly explain exactly how the vision card system works here for you. Vision cards, they give you stats, but they also have two very special passives. They have an effect that goes and only affects the character who has the card equipped, and then on top of that, it also has a party ability for it. So the Oath of Love's party ability gives attack plus 21% here when you have it fairly maxed out at level 50 here, 2-star. So it gives you an attack aura basically on everyone in your party. And on top of that, whoever has it equipped is going to have a threat buff. Basically, you put this on your tank, right? So this is going to allow you to apply this card, and the reason it's so good is that it's going to give attack percent to everyone in your party just for having this card on someone in your party. And then on top of that, it's going to give you a threat buff, and then you'll eventually be able to level it up. And on top of that threat buff, whoever has it equipped, it's going to give that character also a slashing attack buff as well. That's going to be a passive buff applied to their slashing damage. Tanks and they are using one-handed swords, so yes, they're doing slashing damage, and that party buff does apply to yourself. So you throw this on like your tanking character or just someone else in your party that you don't really mind, because the threat buff isn't going to make everyone attack. It's a very minor threat buff, but it's still there, so it's best on a tank that's going to serve you the most effectively, because tanks are built to take that damage for you, and then it's going to apply that attack percent buff. Now, Oath of Love isn't the only one that does give an attack percent buff, but it's going to be one of the easier ones to get your hands on due to it being an MR card. Now, speaking of MR cards, the next one we're going to go over is Sealed Order. I do love this card too, because not only do you have that party buff and the single effect that's applied to a character, you cannot stack the same type of effect. So if you have a party attack buff, you can't have another card that gives you a party attack buff. The game will tell you this. It'll be grayed out. And I think the first time you try to do that, it'll say this doesn't work that way. Do something different. And Sealed Order here allows you to do something slightly different while increasing how much damage you can do. So a lot of the characters that do physical damage in the game right now, some of the better ones, especially some of the ones that are at top tier reroll list, we're on here for reasons like this. The party buff for Sealed Order is slashing attack for your whole party. So if you have Oath of Love on somebody and Sealed Order on someone else, you can have not only a raw attack percent buff, you're gonna have a slashing attack buff on your whole party too. So that's gonna be super awesome. And then if you have a character wearing another card that is such that has a single passive for that character, the effect of just they get the slashing attack, like we talked about with a leveled up Oath of Love, you're going to get the AoE party attack buff, AoE party slashing attack buff, and then the single person, whoever has the Oath on, a slashing attack buff as well. Now, the other thing that this card does do, it gives you a minor agility percent boost, and you also lose -5 mind. Not that big of a deal, but you do gain some speed with that agility plus. So you're gonna be getting the AoE attack buff from the attack, the AoE slashing buff up. You're gonna be a little bit faster as well. So very, very strong card. This one also is an MR card. Now, one last card that we're gonna be talking about moving into the SRs. Those are the two MRs we're talking about right now. We have some other ones to talk about later, but sticking with the slashing damage dealing thing, this is gonna be a Resounding Scream, a UR card, and this one is gonna be allowing you to do some very similar things. This has a stronger AoE party slashing attack buff there. Now, on top of that, the effect for whoever is having it equipped, they are less likely to be debuffed with attack down. So it's gonna allow players to least effectively apply attack buff down on you when you're doing PvP or maybe bosses or something like that. But this is mainly here for the party ability. That's how strong it is, having those stacking party abilities in the right sort of kind of order. Attack percent, slashing attack percent, very, very, very strong there. When you're putting together a slashing attack team, that is definitely making the cut there. Now, speaking of keeping on this train of attack buffs, we have Ifrit, which is going to be a even better version of Oath of Love for a lot of players out there. The attack percent buff that this can get up to is absolutely astronomical. If you have it all the way unbound, all the way max leveled, 50% party attack buff compared to something like Oath of Love, which was like 20 something percent. Ifrit is crazy strong for some physical damage oriented team compositions. That's why it's so good there. It also has this effect for whoever's holding the card, fire attack plus 10%. So if you're using, maybe a mage in your account for some reason, you can throw that on them. If they're doing fire damage, they'll get that buff, and then everyone else in your party is going to get fire attack buff plus 50%. If you're using someone who is a physical damage dealer doing fire damage, you put this on them, they're going to get the fire attack plus 10%. Everyone else on your party, including themselves, and get that 50% attack buff. Very strong card for that reason there. Now, moving into some other cards here, we have the MR Iron Giant. This one is going to be here for the self effect, basically here, of slashing attack plus 15 straight up and straight out. It does have agility minus 3%, so you're going to be a tiny bit slower, but this is going to be one of those ways to give a character an additional slashing attack up, because this is for the card holder only. So maybe you have something like we talked about with Sealed Order, right? Or the previous card, the not MR, the SR version, the UR version that we talked about with Resounding Scream. You can have the party affinity slashing attack up, then you have Iron Giant equipped on someone else for slashing attack, and then you have Ifrit or something on someone else for the AoE 50% attack buff for your whole party. All of a sudden you have some dude with 50% attack and like 40 something slashing damage buff. They're going to be doing a lot of damage. Now on top of that though, the other cool thing about this is the party ability for Iron Giant. You can go 2000 IQ through the meta, has slashing attack resistance on it. So if you're going into, PvP or something of that nature, and someone's going to do a lot of slashing damage to you, you can throw this card in there. It's going to increase your slashing damage while decreasing their slashing damage, and that might help you out in a lot of different ways there. Now, we've talked a lot about attack percent, slashing damage. A lot of those cards all do the same thing, just the MR versions and then the UR versions of those cards. Now, we're going to be talking about, I'm going to butcher this name, Trosiu. Someone put it down below how I need to pronounce that, because I have no idea. I'm just gonna be ignorant for once, okay? We're gonna be ignorant there, and this card is gonna be super strong because it is one of the few ways that you can actually raise your magic attack. It's got the party ability of magic attack plus. This goes all the way up to plus 35 magic attack. So if you're using someone strong like Medina, right? Y'shtola is a free character that you can get your hands on. There's gonna be another MR mage in the future that's gonna be pretty easy for you guys to get your hands on as well. This is gonna allow you to just, one of the few ways in the game, in a vision card, giant magic attack buff for your whole party. The effect of the holder gets dark resist attack plus, not that big of a deal. It's mainly there for the party ability as a way to buff the amount of magic damage that you are doing. There's gonna be some other cards we'll talk about that help out mages, but it's not gonna be ones that buff your magic damage, okay? So this is why that card sticks up. If you get hands on it, right? If you're going for some sort of mage team, Y'shtola, Medina, if you get this card, you're going to be a happy camper. Now we have Sharpen Focus, which is going to be on here as well, because this is going to be a piercing card. We talked a lot about slashing damage. This one's going to give you a little bit of accuracy for the card holder. You're going to lose a little bit of mind, but the party ability is shooting attack plus 10. So if you're using a lot of ranged characters, you're going to be using this card. There's going to be the gunner class. We're going to have more of those in the future. We have some of them right now, some bow users as well. If you're using any of those characters, they're not too prominent right now, but they will be more so in the future. This might be a card that you're going to be pulling out of your back pocket for you to get in here, which is Sharpen Focus. It's going to be a good card. It's going to be a good card, especially once everyone's going to be running around with gunner teams. Now, we also have some interesting cards. This one is going to be stronger than anyone. The effect of this card, the card wielder gets bonus critical hit damage while holding it, and the party ability is cast time reduction. So this is going to be something that you can put on like a mage, right, in a party team composition built around mages. Cast time reduction for a party ability, put on Trosiu. I butchered that name again, for the magic damage plus. That's a pretty big, good wombo combo. This is an MR card. All right, the effect for the party wielder isn't that big of a deal because you can't really like stat crit hit rate. There might be some characters out there, maybe you're using a spear user or something, or a ninja that can increase their crit hit rate. They can hold this card, reduce the cast time for the mages in the team, get that bonus critical hit damage because they can crit. with a cooldown skill, with an ability, and that's going to be a pretty synergistic team there for you. Now, another cast time reduction card is actually an MR card that we'll be going over here, which is actually the Bewitching Witch. Okay, this one, a little bit interesting. The effect is going to be Undead Killer Plus. If you're fighting undead's great. If you're not, it's not going to do anything for you. You also lose 5 defense, but this also is another way to decrease the casting time of your spells, your healing magic, your support magic, your black mage magic, all of that stuff. This is going to be cast time reduction for your whole party. So if you want to like a mage team, you're going to have something like Trociu for the magic damage buff, and you're going to have something like Bewitching Witch, or to be stronger than anyone for that cast time reduction. And then after that, you know, you can focus more on survivability. We're not going to be talking about any of the health percent cards in here because there's a lot of them. You can just kind of use whatever, HP plus whatever, defense plus whatever, if you want to throw those party abilities on there. But having the magic damage party ability and the cast time reduction party ability, that's going to be a good thing for you there as well. Now, the last card we're going to be talking about is called a Sweet Time. This card's overlooked a little bit, but this card, you'll be using this as a way to increase your damage even more in some sort of physical damage team comp, or maybe even magic damage team comp. This is because the party ability is attack plus 15%. It doesn't go as high as all the other ones do, but it's going to give you that 15% attack buff for your whole party. And then the effect for whoever's holding the card, they're going to get bonus critical hit chance. So that's going to be another option for you guys out there. It's going to give you crit hit rate with that attack plus 15%. And that's going to be something that you're going to be really looking forward to when building team comps in War of the Visions. We're going to have more in-depth videos on such things as building team comps, like what's a mage team, what's a PvP team, what's a a physical attacker team. But you can kind of grasp the concept and how vision cards play an important role that based on these ones right here, right now. Slashing damage, attack percent, piercing damage. What is there? There's ones for blunt damage if you're using like blunt monks and stuff like that. Mage damage, all of those things. You're going to kind of try to fit those 5 cards together because your party is of 5 people for PvE. Plus your friend unit. You're going to try to stack as much personal effects, selfish effects from the single target, whoever's holding the card, whoever benefits the best from that in your team, you're putting that card on them. And then you're also at the same time balancing how many different party buffs can I get? Can I get attack percent, HP percent, magic damage percent, cast time reduction, slashing damage up, slashing damage resistance, those sort of different things. And that's really where the team composition of War of the Visions comes into play, is your characters, what ones you're using, what they do, what abilities they have, coupled with what card you have, and how you can balance all of those things together. So look forward to that video. If you want to see that kind of stuff, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we're releasing all this different kinds of War of the Visions content, and a lot of War of the Vision stuff going to be released on this channel. Hopefully you guys have found the previous videos that should have been up before this one, the reroll guide, how to max out your bravery and your faith, and why it's so important, as well as farm extra job points too. So check those videos out. Come and hang out at the Twitch stream. As always, thank you guys for the support, especially people who are becoming the backbone of the channel with Patreon, with becoming YouTube channel members, getting those bonus perks. It's a fun time. Thank you guys for the support, allowing me to do this. And until then, guys, I'll see you in the next one.